Whitlock and Wiley, LeVar Arrington, and Bucky Brooks are back. Time now for a big story. Let's move to Dallas, where Dak Prescott has put the ball squarely in the Cowboys' court this season, playing well enough to ratchet up the pressure on the team to get his contract done sooner rather than later. Cowboy Executive Vice President Stephen Jones says the two sides aren't very far apart and that the money will put Dak in rare air. He also said something about...
What did he say?
We need to do right by Dak, I think, now. Instead of a team-friendly deal, now they're talking about doing right by Dak. The question is making Dak the highest-paid quarterback and player in the NFL, is that the right thing to do?
Absolutely. You don't want my Dak drum roll again, huh? We ain't gonna do that again? Well, I'll just give you all the stats that just shows how great Dak Prescott is in the most important categories, including winning. Let's talk about what this conversation is about right now in the present tense. If you look at these two games, what I don't think they should do is move the conversation in terms of price. What I think it should do is give you confidence in the move you're going to make. So there's the two different things occurring. Some people are thinking every game Dak plays, he should get more money. I'm like, nah, you should have more confidence in the money you're going to give him already. Now, why is that? Ezekiel Elliott, who had 2 years left on his contract, really 4 years under control with the franchise tag, was given a contract early. Why? Because they knew where that would land in public perception in the fan base. Oh, Zeke's top three, if not the best running back in the league. Oh, we could pay him prematurely, even though 2 years, maybe 4 years under contract, knucklehead, whatever. People are going to justify this because he is Zeke. The reason Dak hasn't got signed yet is because public perception still has anxiety, trepidation. Dak's going to make how much? But you know what these two games did? Give you confidence where this is going to land. It's going to land in a different place than it was 2 years prior to this moment. So if I'm Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, I don't think the price is going up. He's going to be the highest paid. The boat is rising because the tide is higher.
You sure do be speaking that truth, pal.
And I think that right now.
Bring it, pal.
Pay the man because you should be confident in
hold on for 1 minute. It has elevated because at one point, and you were rightfully one more dollar than Carson Wentz.
Yes.
Now it's one more dollar than Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
You got a point there. You got a point right there.
It has to be a few more dollars than Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh! Because I've had to wait for my money. I've given you 4 years at a discounted rate. And the fact that I couldn't get my money last year, I now have the leverage. I'm going to punish you. You're going to have to give me my money and make me right. So when they talk about rarefied air and we're going to do right by him, they have to do right by me because according to this, $680,000, that's what my check looks like. I'm looking at guys like Roethlisberger, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, $32+ million, and I'm making $600,000. Oh, no, we're not. We need big money. We need big bread. We got to make it right.
Damn, Darnell making more than him.
Yeah.
About reparations.
I'll tell you what's interesting. Last segment, you used the word desperation.
Yeah.
All right. That would describe having the type of personnel that you have in Dallas right now and Jerry Jones trying to get that elusive Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's turning into a desperation situation for Jerry Jones, all right? So that's one thing. Then you made reference after the game. You said, man, you're talking about a outstanding performance in the nation's capital against a divisional rival that had Zeke in the passenger side seat of the car that who was driving.
That.
Okay. When you have those things to say, and you're talking about the accomplishment and what that man is doing on that football field, he has shown you in one of the largest markets, the top football team in the market, he doesn't fold under pressure. You have desperation, and you got a guy who understands what that star represents and is representing it well. It's not even a question of if he will be the highest paid or if it's the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. The question is how much of a gap from Russell Wilson will it be where he makes that highest quarterback pay?
Dak skeptic. I've been along, but they're gonna have to go to 40 now. I really do. And again, Marcellus, you missed it yesterday. We kind of giggled at Jane Slater for saying that, and I certainly lambasted Todd France for wanting it potentially. I think that's where they're at, and I think that's what Stephen Jones is saying. We got to make it. It's got to be right for Dak. Wow, they went from team friendly to it's got to be right for Dak. And I think it's the right thing to do because the dude has been that reliable for you on and off the field. Not a whiff of controversy. When Jerry got into his little national anthem controversy, Dak stood there right there with him, stood in there strong, and then has shown up physically. Not been Carson Wentz, a lot of these guys can't stay healthy. Dak runs the ball a little bit, has been there physically for you every game, and is ascending as a passer. You got to give the man his 40 because you already know the cap's going to go up and Patrick Mahomes is going to go to 42, 45. So,
yeah,
it's the right thing to do.
My position has not changed. His floor was $1 more than Carson Wentz, and the ceiling, as crazy as it sounded, was that $40 million, and now it seems like a reality. So now you hear Stephen Jones saying we got to make it nice for Dak. Dak's like, I've been sitting here at 40. Where y'all been? Now y'all here, and let me tell you why that's so important in statistical form. Because Jerry Jones has never seen this out of a Cowboys quarterback. And the Cowboys know this is rarefied air. He has 7 passing touchdowns after 2 games. You know the last time that happened wearing a Dallas Cowboys uniform? 1966. Dandy Don Meredith. Hello. Dak, we done went through Troy Aikman, Danny White, Roger Staubach, and others.
Tony Romo.
And Dak's like,
Tony Banks.
Quincy Carter.
Quincy Carter. There you go.
My
Quincy
dog.
Carter.
Mookie. Oh, so all of that said, and Dak is saying, I'm standing alone, brother. And the cap goes up every year, and you paying guys early all around the board. My turn.
Well, to me, where they can do this, and you talked about the fan base and perception, my issue has always been in the locker room. What kind of contract could you put on Dak where he could walk in that locker room and guys wouldn't raise their eyebrow like, man, they paying this dude what? Because, look, it happened to Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb was running around in Philadelphia making too much money for some guys in that locker room. T.O. gave voice to it, but he was not alone. Yeah. T.O., I don't think is just some lone wolf. He was speaking for others like, I don't know if he's really worth it. And again, this is not a shot at Dak. But I wouldn't put Dak right now at the level I had Donovan McNabb at that time in his prime. Donovan McNabb was balling out of control, terrific. Dak seems to be going that direction, and what I think Dak has done, the way he's handled everything is he's not going to face the kind of blowback that McNabb did within his own locker room.
Now, but with that being said, if you look at that locker room in Philadelphia, that was a very, very veteran, heavyweight locker room full of dudes. You're not going to sit there and be like, look at Brian Dawkins or some of the other guys, Hugh Douglas and those guys. They, you know, some of those guys that they had on that team. Troy Vincent was on that team. I mean, there are guys that really in that locker room, and Trotter's a hater. So you got to believe that when you look at some of the personalities of how they were, and how money-driven some of those guys were, you're talking about from a leadership perspective and from a veteran perspective. I don't think he's going to have that type of blowback in Dallas.
I'm going to give you another analogy to it that you can say the exact same thing about. But there does seem to be a pattern. Because at one time, I think McNabb may have been the highest-paid player in the league. Russell Wilson, even though he just now got to be the highest player in the league, once he got paid in Seattle, the Legion of Boom started tearing him up.
And that's fair.
So Dak, there's something about being a black quarterback and getting all that money that in these 70% black locker rooms, it doesn't play as well as it should.
Yeah, it doesn't play well sometimes if they feel like there's not a level of authenticity when it comes to the player. I think the thing with Russell Wilson, there were people that may have questioned his authenticity in terms of how he acted and how he presented himself out in the public when it came to the interviews and the like. With Dak Prescott, I think there's been a level of consistency from the time that he's been the starting quarterback for Dallas. He has been the same guy. He and Zeke were joined at the hip their rookie season, but after that, Dak has kind of become his own man when it came to becoming the leader of the franchise. You talked about the national anthem and how he stood with the owner, all the other things, handling all the questions. At some point, we always talk about this franchise quarterback has to be presidential. I don't think without question that we can say he has been a presidential player when it comes to Dak Prescott.
I think that wasn't a black or white issue. I think that if I were in that locker room, let me just teleport over there and say, y'all haven't won championships, McNabb or Dak. So then we get into a conversation of achievement versus earning. What have you achieved versus what are you now going to earn? Because I know how I got up this mountain, and it was hell to pay. And you as well, but you didn't get to the top of this mountain. So if you're going to make that amount of money, and then you're going to walk around like you have that in your pockets, and you haven't been to the mountaintop, now I got an issue with